Over the past several months, I have received no less than 300 requests, both throughout various sites and social media, including private messages, to cover Simple Plan.
Many of those were by the same person.
So, just like the last time when hundreds of you requested the same album with Saint Anger, I'm gonna cave in and do something that will make everyone else laugh and take a year off my life. Listen to a Simple Plan album. I was a sophomore in high school when this album came out, March 19th, 2002. While I myself wasn't huge into the punk scene, I still knew quite a few people outside of my high school that were. One of said albums was a huge hit for them. No pads, no helmets, no dignity.
Just because I wasn't into the pop punk scene back then doesn't mean it's bad, and doesn't mean I didn't notice its following. It was a big deal back in the early and mid 2000s.
For the teenage rock fans in the early 2000s, it was either nu metal or punk rock. Kids dressed up in baggy pants and hoodies or long socks and sneakers. Many of those bands from back then continue to keep their supporters and still even produce quality stuff today like AFI and New Found Glory. But then Canada steps in and gives us Simple Plan, the answer on how to dumb down a generation already being poisoned by the beginning of reality TV and around the time MTV finally stopped pretending they were about music.
Oh, they struck a chord alright. Simple Plan's No Pads, No Helmets, No Dignity sold just as many copies as... Oh, yeah. If you've seen these episodes before, you know what's coming. You know I'm gonna say an album by comparison just to mess with your heads to prove my points. And it's gonna hurt too. Simple Plan's debut sold just as many copies as Rage Against the Machine's The Battle of Los Angeles. Oh my gosh.
And what's worse is that The Battle of Los Angeles came out a couple years before Simple Plan's debut. The album that had a message and was politically charged and had musicians who pushed themselves to the brink with creativity in their instruments while still driving an adrenaline-charged album is only as successful as a bunch of whiny brats who were marketed to look good.
Teenage girls loved these guys. But ladies, don't get too upset about that insinuation. There are guys that are just as guilty of buying into an artist or singer just because they think she's hot.
Just like there are women who buy albums and t-shirts of bands but have only heard one song of theirs ever, there are guys who totally buy albums and watch music videos of female performers just because they think the ladies are attractive. But back to the regret at hand with Simple Plan. In all honesty, this is a band who should not have been as successful as they were. At all. Their music quality and contributions to music aren't even rated as mediocre. How did they become so popular and how did they stay that way for so long for so many people?
Well... just like before, I'm gonna go track by track into No Pads, No Helmets, No Talent, and see why this album is worth regretting. And at the same time regret why I even made this a series in the first place.
I'd do anything just to hold you in my arms, to try to make you laugh. Somehow I can't put you in the past. I'd do anything just to...
This is the main song I remember from my early high school years that people were singing in the halls. And by people I mean that one annoying girl trying way too hard to stand out. That repeated guitar riff is pretty defining of the band, and that's not a bad thing. But really, what is so special about this song? Vocally, the song is sung as nasally as Lois Griffin on Family Guy. The lyrics aren't creative and it just sounds boring. It's the type of song you would play behind a teenage movie trailer to go along with high school shenanigans.
I am fully aware that Mark Hoppus of Blink-182 is in this song as well. So what? That doesn't make it a good song.
Just because a good musician from a band people enjoy joins in on a song doesn't make the track automatically better. That means any time a musician does karaoke with his friends that the song they are singing is instantly better with written and more organized. Simple Plan just a month ago released a new song with Nelly. That doesn't mean every Nelly fan from the early 2000s has to instantly jump aboard the Simple Plan short bus. To be fair, the song isn't painful to listen to, just a bit unoriginal, and it doesn't feel like there's anything to get behind other than it's the quintessential Simple Plan song.
No Pads, No Helmet, No Shame is known for this song, and especially that guitar riff. But, again, that doesn't make the album good. If anything, this is extremely mediocre and kind of telling of how awful it's gonna be. The following songs get better though, right? Nope. Nope, nope, nope. Nope, it's only downhill from here. Not doing it. Nope. No. No! Please! No! No! Oh no! Let me out! Please!
6 a.m. The clock is ringing. I need to spend an hour snoozing.
My God. Oh no.
And I feel like I'm living the worst day over and over again. And I
And here it is, the main theme of No Pads, No Helmets, No Middle School Diplomas. The whining. The nondescriptive, vague, no real problems, generic kids growing up in a regular life, whining. Hearing the lyrics, "It's so long I can't go on," is not only terrible and melodramatic, but there is no real reason as to why it's the worst day ever.
This is the type of music the rich brats down the street would get behind because it connected to them in their teenage angst, when in reality they had nothing to complain about.
The guitar progression in the beginning actually sounds nice and makes you feel like it could lead to something, but it just drops out to a whiny little man-child complaining about waking up in the morning.
Give that child a Purple Heart.
The drum work isn't anything special outside of a rhythm keeper. The bass might as well be non-existent, but somehow there were kids that got behind this just because it was the perfect cliche to describe how they felt.
Ugh. You know how the older generation always goes, "Back in my day," when talking about their music? Well, if they're referencing this type of music, then yeah, I can totally see where they're coming from. Their generation was way better. They went from Queen to Nirvana to Simple Plan. It's like a backward evolution chart.
whoa, you don't mean anything to me.
You Don't Mean Anything to Me is now about what 99% of the music scene thinks about Simple Plan.
The guitar is starting to get a bit repetitive and generic as the album goes on. It isn't bad, but it's all starting to blend together as a four-chord monstrosity. I could probably stomach this song a bit more if it weren't for the writing. Sweet mercy, this is hilariously bad. If you're like me, you were picturing a rich little punk kid Joffrey stamping his feet when he didn't get the car he wanted on his 16th birthday, and he starts spouting stuff like this at the maids who are trying to clean his room for the 8th time that day. I'm trying my best not to repeat the chorus as it's already burrowed in my brain and all its angsty whining, but really, even as a teenager, I can't see the appeal to this. It doesn't even sound like something you would want to connect with on a personal level.
But art is subjective. Just because it's not for me doesn't mean it's not for anyone. And even though this song isn't for me, and it's really whiny and complaining, I'm really hoping this is the end of all this, and it actually gets into some more mature, serious, less little kiddish writing.
And here it goes. I'm just a kid and life is a nightmare. I'm just a kid, I know that's not fair.
Unless you are the little girl in Alien or Clementine in The Walking Dead, you have no right to be singing that song.
Is this really what did it for pop punk fans in the early 2000s and still even today? This drawn-out monotone garage band song? The guitars don't add anything, the drums are just present, and it's getting to the point where Pierre sounds like he's a little more bored with the song. Looking back at the previous 3 songs on No Pads, No Helmets, No Self-Respect, even if sang nasally and monotone and through all the childish whining, there still seemed to be a bit of energy. I get that I'm Just a Kid was supposed to be a slower and more serious, if that's possible, song, but it really doesn't land on the mark. It barely registers as memorable outside of some cringeworthy lyrics. I mean, the tagline alone, "I'm just a kid and my life is a nightmare," is so laughably bad, I can't help imagine but some super privileged kid screaming this on Christmas Day when he got a regular Xbox One instead of a PS4. In fact, let me change the lyrics to something a little more appropriate to what they ought to resemble.
And this is the second song on the album where one of life's biggest complaints is having to wake up in the morning. You're really not selling me on this whole "my life is a nightmare" pitch, kid.
I'm taking my time, I'm trying to leave the memories of you behind. I'm gonna be fine as soon as I get your picture right out of my mind.
Alright, aside from some more lyrical cheese, this song isn't nearly as annoying as the others. When I'm With You perfectly captures adolescent love and crushes. It just feels like more of the same though. Consistently played chords with little deviation, and even after a 5-second bridge, you can tell that Pierre and company try to elevate their range and build up to a peak, but it still sounds incredibly bland and unoriginal. Looking through the tracks we've covered so far, you can understand that Simple Plan's direction is intended for a younger crowd, and that's fine. That doesn't make the music good though just because you can relate to a chorus when you were 15. Talent-wise, this all sounds like it could be performed by an upcoming Battle of the Band contestants, and the only consistent theme so far is whining about nothing.
Remember when I talked about Rage Against the Machine? All the politically charged and modern issues that stand up and bring up while trying to push themselves creatively? Well, what is just as popular as whining about being young? This is why we can't have nice things anymore in the rock scene.
I wanna feel the way you make me feel when I'm with you. I wanna be the only hand you need to hold on to.
I don't have a problem with a band conveying a simple message and trying to create music that people can relate to, but come on, you can put more effort into a song than this. Only 2.5 minutes and the chorus is repeated 4 times? You know who's good at keeping a short song while trying to get a message across? The Wiggles. And what's crazy about the Wiggles is that they can get their young audience to actually pay attention without whining about it.
Meanwhile, Simple Plan makes everyone somehow angrier after they listen to their music. Both the teenagers who can't get everything they want, and me for having to listen to this.
On and on and on and on and on again.
This is the rest of my life, isn't it?
Until I do, you're gone away. I'm left alone.
Meet You There falls into the same main category as When I'm With You. It has weak writing, but it isn't the worst thing I've ever heard, and it's not nearly as annoying as the first 4 songs. It actually sounds like they spent some legitimate time on this song as opposed to others. The drums really carry this track, and they might be the unsung hero that most people don't pay attention to. If Simple Plan had more songs with just a little more depth like this throughout No Pads, No Helmets, No Shame, then I honestly don't think I can make a video like this. I swear the people in the recording booth must have been knocked out of their seat when they heard them play this and finally thought to themselves, holy crap, if they keep this up I may still have a job.
I kid around, but if this album had more songs like this on the album, then just maybe people would take them a little more seriously.
Still a dick. I'm addicted to you. I think you know that it's true.
And this right here is why most people the world over don't respect Simple Plan at all.
Is this really what kids got behind? Is this really what pop punk fans would still defend in 2015? An entire song built around one of the worst lines in love song history? It's not even a play on words, it's a play on a syllable. This is something that a couple of middle school kids figure out in English class when they should be paying attention, and then Sharpie it on their desk because they think they're hilarious. Ugh, you know the last 2 tracks really got me. I thought a page was turned and the first third of this album was just the stupid happy-go-lucky chunk and the rest could have substance. Nope! In one stupid line they flushed it down the music toilet. This is Fred Durst lyric writing quality.
I know I already said how cheesy the writing is on this album, but to prove my point, I'm gonna eat a little bit of Cheese Whiz every time a cheesy, whiny lyric is sang.
Heartbreaker. Heartbreaker.
Alright, to break this all down, this song is paced poorly and sounds off. It sounds like the vocals had to be slowed down with every other word just to keep with the rhythm, and it creates an off-putting beat. It makes the song feel much longer than the 4-minute running time. Besides that, there is nothing to write home about. The guitar work is first-month guitar class lessons, and the drums went back into hiding. It would be completely forgettable if it weren't for one juvenile, stupid line that they must have thought was genius.
Still a dick. I'm addicted to you.
Ugh.
Still a dick. I'm addicted to you. I think you know that it's true. I'd run 1,000 miles to get you.
I should be playing you right now. But no! Everyone wants to see me listen to this garbage! This is what being a music fan all my life has resorted me to! Everyone on the internet wants to see me suffer!
I can remember smelling your hair. She has 2 arms to hold me and 4 legs to wrap around me. She's not your typical girlfriend. She's my alien.
Okay, Simple Plan just totally jumped the shark with this.
That's our territory.
Sorry, I'm a little stressed out. I really don't like this. I'm not trying to step on your toes. Shark jumping is your thing.
Oh, that's okay. Just make sure to tell everyone to subscribe to
Shark jumping. Freeze frame.
It's a love song for a two-armed, four-legged alien. We went from a play on a syllable to a love song for an alien. What kind of drugs were they on when they wrote this? Wait a minute, does that mean every stupid high school crush song on this album so far has all been about the same alien? What the heck is this? There's no real high school girl, it's just a young E.T. in a wig with extra legs? I can't even really go into detail about the generic strum-by-numbers guitar and the drawn-out singing. It's all overshadowed by secret alien love.
I have nothing to say. Whatever implication of seriousness Simple Plan had, and the few fleeting moments of this whiny diatribe, has all been flushed down the toilet to talk about making out with an alien. Ew!
Last night, I just want
No. Stop. I cannot get behind a title like that. What is your logic of God hating you? Besides giving you a singing voice like that.
The song starts off with getting caught for taking the car without permission. God must hate him for that. It then goes on to forgetting about a test and not studying. God must hate him for that. He then sings I Wanna Go Home repeatedly like a little kid who is sick of running errands with his mom. This has to be a joke, right? I mean, this can't be serious. This was meant to be funny, right?
I mean, the rest of the album is really whiny. Except for that weird alien love song. But this has to be a joke, right? There's no way this was a real recording that they wanted to put on their debut album. How does this album even exist?
on my way. So don't expect to find me sleeping in my bed. 'Cause when you wake up, I won't be there. I won't be there. Say you find a way to make it sound like I was born just yesterday. And everything you taught me doesn't mean a thing, so I'm going my way. I don't wanna hurt you, you don't wanna hurt me. I can't stand you and you can't stand me.
I want to give credit where it's due because it sounds like the band is actually trying to branch out with the guitar work at the beginning. 10 tracks in, mind you. But that lasts roughly 20 seconds until it's back to the same old schlock. It's another whiny song about leaving and not being there. It's a real coming-of-age song where after a boy makes out with an alien, he decides to try and make it on his own.
Yeah, I said all that correctly.
I would call this a filler song, but filler songs still have components of music and talent that you understand why it was there. After songs about not being good enough and not getting what you want, you hear a song about leaving. The music behind the lyrics and no pads, no helmets, no excuse for this existing are all starting to blend together and is one long drawn-out track of musical white noise.
I'd also like to say that I'm probably going to become lactose intolerant if these cheesy tunes and lyrics keep popping up, but I'm pretty sure there's no real dairy in this.
Sometimes this house feels like a prison that I just can't leave behind. There's so many rules I gotta follow, 'cause you can't let go. I don't wanna hear it, and I just you.
Put aside the sing-songy beat and just flat-out ridiculous feel of all this and read the first 4 bars of this song. These lyrics are the whole summary of this album. This song sucks. There's no other way to say it. I have a hard time believing there was a studio engineer in a professional recording booth who had to listen to all this and fake a smile while giving the thumbs up as these brats recorded it.
One day.
Sure, go ahead and bring the na-na-nas in here. No, Strong Dad, we don't need you this time. It's already clear. It's already obvious that these guys were pushing their vocabulary with the rock opera so they can resort to it this time. 11 tracks, and this is what we have. Is the last track the linchpin? Is this the song that people really connect with and really stand by?
Lost it all. Nothing lasts forever. I'm sorry.
No.
The pace of the song feels much more natural to Pierre's vocals, but the vocals are still as monotone and nasally as ever. It feels like this was much more personal of a writing experience for them, but when you break it down, these lyrics are just as whiny as "I'm just a kid and my life is a nightmare." And from what I understand, a lot of people grew up with this track as being something personal to them, not living up to expectations. I have to admit that is something many people, especially youth in a demanding situation, can relate to, but that still doesn't make this song good.
And instead of ending with a highlight, it ends with just more of the same. This is all just one long, drawn-out, whiny, adolescent live journal entry.
There are grown adults that still defend no pads, no helmets, no musical ability to this day. I mean, we all listen to stuff we regret from the past, but how do you still defend a song like God Must Hate Me? I mean, there were many other bands in that era and subgenre with better quality than this. How did this album stand out so much? Because teen boys thought they looked cool and teen girls were in love with them? When listening to this album in full, it went from hilariously bad to flat out miserable. Also, from what everyone tells me, this isn't their worst album by a long shot. They get worse as they go on. Is that even possible? Can a black hole become blacker? Is this what people talk about when ironically liking a band?
What should we be regretting here? Well, we should be regretting supporting a band that is so completely one-dimensional and obviously reaching for the specific target. I mean, come on, this whole album feels like a bunch of boardroom executives sitting around a table in Canada figuring out how they can attract teenagers.
We all bought albums in the past we probably aren't proud of now, but the good thing is we can acknowledge why they were bad. If you still like Simple Plan and the album for nostalgic reasons, then that's fine, but that doesn't mean you can't see why people laugh at all this.
And I also do realize the irony of me whining and complaining about this album, which is mainly whining and complaining. Well, to that I say, you listen to this full album and see how you feel. And I am never reviewing another Simple Plan album ever again! Come on! Please, no! I can't do it again! I can't do it again! No! No!
Hey guys, thank you for watching and all the support you've given Rocked and Regretting the Past this year. I'm sure there will be much more to come next year, and again, your suggestions are welcome. Please subscribe if you can, it really does help out to get noticed. You can check out my Patreon if you want to help Rocked get better and get some perks out of it yourself, including voting on upcoming reviews. And you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Rocked Reviews.
Oh. Oh, it's so bad. Oh, it's so bad.